in the Northwestern Hemisphere, that they are part of the Constitution. And Thurgood, Judge Thurgood Marshall, always talked about the Fifth and the 14th Amendments. Fifth Amendment to the Constitution, and these amendments originally were made for white people.
Yes.
Black people were not supposed to be included in
that's correct.
in the entire Constitution. But grudgingly, they relented a little bit and said, well, maybe we say that they are included as people in the Constitution rather than partial people, some type of entity other than people. And now that we're going to include them in there, maybe they won't notice it too much, and maybe, we'll just have them do things like ceremonial. They notice that black people are very ceremonial people, so we'll let them go through ceremonies without giving them any substance. So things like saluting the flag and all like that, we'll let them do that. But we'll kind of keep them away from interpreting things where the rubber will meet the road, you might say. And in the 5th and 14th Amendment to the Constitution, we just hope that they won't notice it. They won't make use of it. But Judge Thurgood Marshall, a person of color, some years ago said, I'm going to make use of it. They made a mistake if they think that we're not going to use the Constitution rather than just salute the flag like it's the Constitution and then let everything else go. Not pay attention to the Constitution. Mm-hmm. No, the flag is just symbolic of whatever you want to make it. But the Constitution is very specific. So therefore, we'll say the Constitution, the Fifth Amendment, is about due process.
Due process, okay.
And about compensation. That word is mentioned in there. And due process is about going about doing everything the correct way.
Yes, sir.
Without skipping over anything. And the 14th Amendment is about equal protection of the laws. In other words, what you do for or against one person in the same circumstances, you're supposed to do for and against another person. Everybody's supposed to be equal. It's not supposed to be any differences here.
According to the Constitution's 14th
Constitution,
Amendment. Mm-hmm.
You don't have a so-called class system, even though you hear people say socially there is a class system. So you got a contradiction right there. What do you mean by class? You even hear people use terms like upper class,
yes,
middle class, lower class. But mostly you hear in the Northwestern Hemisphere, people talk about the middle class. Well, then, when do you really reach the so-called upper class? Is there, are we talking about classes of people? And where is the lower class? I mean, how do you measure that? Do you measure it by income? Do you measure it by what your resident zip code is?
Mm-hmm. Constantly asking questions.
Yes, you constantly ask questions about this. Why? Because this has to do with that 14th Amendment. So what you do is just keep asking questions about the 14th Amendment and the 5th Amendment.
Okay.
And you always do things along those lines, particularly in job situations.
Okay.
So this is where I tell people you use it.
Okay.
And you do it by raising questions. Is the Fifth Amendment being violated? That's the question you always want to ask. Meaning, did you go about doing everything the way that the law says you're supposed to go about doing it? Whatever you did you go about doing it? Did you skip over anything? Did you ignore anything? Or did you include something that shouldn't have been included? See, that's about due process.
Yes, sir.
And 14th Amendment is about, hey, on this job, do you treat me the way that you treat everybody else? Do you? That's a question. And if not, why not? And have them explain it in writing.
In writing, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Always ask for your explanation in writing, because if it's not in writing, it didn't happen.
Wow.
Functionally.
Okay.
I mean, and people will say, I don't remember. I mean,
yes,
that memory thing comes.
Yes,
up.
yes.
6 months later, a year down the road, nobody can remember.
Yeah, I don't remember saying that.
What happened.
Yeah.
See, so have everybody, whatever whatever issue comes up, everybody raises their questions, and you should always stay in the question lane. See, don't stay away from statements. Statements can be dangerous to you. Just ask questions. When you write something, put it in the form of a question. And therefore, someone is supposed to have the answers to the questions. And if they don't have them immediately, they're supposed to find them.
Okay.
Because every question has an answer. There's no such thing as a question that doesn't have an answer.